of how that contracting was done. Now, independent power producers, who are they?
Well, independent power producers, these are private sector investors who have come to the Kenyan space.
Yes.
To invest, of course, provide a service and electricity to Kenya. So for that, that power is going to be used by Kenyans and manufacturers.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, you know, we in 1997 is when now Kenya unbundled electricity. And unbundling meant that we introduced private sector players. So we had the first IPPs, Sabo Power, that ran by the Aga Khan services. That was the first IPP that was introduced. It has been retired in 2019, and of course we have Imbera Africa. Another 52 megawatts has also been retired. Those are the first IPPs. Normally, the reason why IPP is coming because the government may not have all the money to build the infrastructure, and we have even seen now we are leaning towards PPPs, the public-private partnerships, because you need the private capital to come in. But if the cost of if the environment of doing business is good, all over the private sector has been developing infrastructure. There is nothing wrong with that. Because
that's understood. But these two major ones that have been retired, that there are others that have come in, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what we are met with, unfortunately, is poor contracting, because Kenya is still locked in a situation where no matter whether you use the power that has been generated, you are paying for it.
Yeah.
And that cost is translated into what we pay in our tokens.
Okay.
So there's bad contracting that took place. Power is being produced. It's not being utilized, but Kenyans are paying for it anyway. So how can you be sure that going into so one way we can be sure about going into the future and hoping for lower electricity bills when we pay the token is that to ensure the contracting at the table is not as myopic as it was before. Is that not one surefire way of reducing the cost on the pockets of Kenyans?
Well, thank you, for that question. And I mean, that is a concern of many Kenyans. But what I can tell you is that it is not always what you hear. That is not always the right thing. What happens is that when it comes to contracting a power purchase, you know, an IPP to come, independent power producer, of course you have to look for value for money. The country has to ensure that they undertake viability, they look at financial viability of the project, also economic visibility, and also technical issues. So the PPAs that have been signed, because most PPAs, the longest PPA is 25 years. The ones for diesel power plants, about 20 years. Wind, again, 20 years. Solar, 20 years. Geothermal is 25, and also solar. I mean, although hydropower can also be 25 years. Now, the issue of having a myopic contracts, what I can say, that is not entirely true. Not true at all.
It's not true at all?
Not true at all. So
all the power that's being produced is being utilized in Kenya?
Yeah, you see, the reason is, and I give you an example. When you let's say, like, for example, I know capacity payments. When, for example, a thermal power plant, let's say we are talking about a diesel generator, for example.
Down in Wajir.
We can talk about even that we have Triumph Power, we have Thika Power, we have Imbera Africa, we have Rabai Power.
Yes.
We have 565 megawatts of thermal power in this country. And the PPA for these power plants, normally it has what we call capacity payment, okay? And then we have energy, and then we have there's a fuel component of it. So three parts. Why CapEx? And that is where now the confusion comes in when people say we are paying for something that we are not using. For example, I know most people, like you couldn't be a farmer. When you are a farmer and you are buying a tractor, a massive on tractor is about 4.5 million shillings. Okay? Isn't it? When you buy that tractor, I want you to use that as an interpretation to understand the capacity payment. When you pay 4.5 million, you get your tractor. But you only use that tractor during the peak hours. During the rain season, when you are planting, you know, during the long rains, before the long rains, and before the short rains. That is when planting happens. If the rains are not there, then you park. When there is no farming, you park the tractor. It couldn't be 50% of the time in the year. That tractor will just be parked there. There's less work. But then that means that the bank, if you have borrowed 4.5 million shillings from a bank, it means the bank will expect your payments every end of the month, isn't it?
But it also means that when I was looking at my land and I was buying this capacity tractor, then I would also realize that perhaps I didn't need this capacity, and then maybe I needed a lower or less capacity engine. No? Or maybe I could use oxen and a plow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking that, would you not see and say, well, the power needs are thus, and project. That's why you have actuaries who would then project and say it's possible that with population growth and infrastructure development going towards 2063, this is what we would need. And that's why I talk about myopic contracting, because don't all of those things come into consideration then when you say it's very possible that at some point during the year we would rest this power. So then why would it then come into the contracting if you know ahead of time that it is not going to be utilized? This is my question, and I would need to then be made clear on how that works exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So now, let's talk about the capacity payment and why it has to be paid.
Yeah.
Because that is what actually install the capex. That is what enables you to actually get into EPC contract and install a power plant in Okaria or Lake Turkana. So the capacity payment when you look at the price of a diesel plant, for example, the capacity payment is about 5 shillings.
Okay.
So that one you'll always pay per kilowatt hour, whether the power plant is being utilized or not. Okay. And then there is energy of about 1 shilling per kilowatt hour. And then the fuel is about 18 shillings because the fuel is a pass-through. And that's why you find our PPAs, and even the way we actually do our tariffs, we adjust for fuel, we adjust for forex, and also WAMA levy, and also inflation adjustment. But basically, the reason why you need a diesel power plant, for example, we have 565 of them. And I want Kenyans to know that it's not necessarily those power plants are bad, they are good. Today, as we speak, demand of electricity, 15th of July this year, we have gotten another peak demand of 2,549 megawatts. Now you have 1,000 megawatts of geothermal, you have another 500 or 600 megawatts of hydro. And then Lake Turkana, we have another 300, and the Kipeto is 100 megawatts. So it means actually, even with all those other power plants, you are not able to meet the power demand. So you have to fire in the thermal power plants. Mostly those thermal power plants are usually like switched on in the morning for peaking. They are called peaking plants. So they are switched on in the morning, maybe about 2 hours or 3 hours, and again from 5 p.m. to about 10 p.m. Again, they have to be fired because the demand always goes higher than during the normal day. Because during the day, demand is about 1,800. At night, it goes to 2,400, 2,500 megawatts right now. And that's where now you find these power plants has to come in. The only other alternative we have is to import more. That's why you have seen sometimes we have imported power from Ethiopia, additional capacity, and also Uganda in order to meet the peak demand. But otherwise, we do that. But again, also when you look at it, out of the 2,500 megawatts we are talking about peak demand, 93% of our power is renewable. So we only actually dispatch, like this past month, only 7% of power was actually dispatched from thermal power plants. So we ensure that we don't dispatch as much because so that we manage the fuel. Yeah, so you actually, we have what we call economic merit order. You dispatch the least cheapest technology or renewables, like all the wind or solar has to be dispatched. Then now you go to the other least expensive until you get the